back we were talking about the professor from Stetson coming out to help was really small businesses. And we narrowed it down probably to say to golf. Now, why golf? Well, we looked into the sports and we found out golfers were having a lot of problems. They were learning in the mechanical games, and what it was is their game would basically fall apart. And visualization was just coming into the magazines of golf there to say, visualize the shot. Jack Nicklaus was one that identified in Golf My Way in the book, I never take a golf shot without first seeing it in my mind. And a lot of golfers were not understanding the concept. So we would take them on that. The other thing about golf was they were not only having this visualization problem, which is a lack of visual, is that they did have money. They could not only afford it, but they needed it. And in our investigation into golf, we found that less than 10% actually take lessons. Now, there's a few reasons why. One of them is that most golfers out there, they're of the elite. They're this very smart group. They don't only have money, they have it for a reason. It's because they know things and they're smart. And they also know that these mechanical lessons don't always pass the test. At one time somebody might tell you to do a grip, a stance, a posture, or whatever. But in reality, it doesn't really hold true. Because if somebody was to shoot a shot behind a wall and that ball went right straight to the target, you know that you can't tell. Who was it? Was it a male or a female? Were they young or old that hit that shot that's perfect? Was it a person or a machine? There's not much you can tell. But there is some things that we have discovered that you can tell. And that's been my quest to find that. And after a few years of training, we have now come to the conclusions of we've got that secret. Mo Norman had that secret, but it wasn't taught to him. Mo Norman learned it from self-realization, his own self-evaluation. And a recent article here in Golf Digest magazine identified that Mo Norman and others, some others like him, never took a golf lesson in their life. Mo Norman did come and take a golf lesson with us over at TLC, which is now today called EO Golf, Education Organization for Golf. And what we learned, even through Mo Norman, is that his visualization skills were very strong. He came over and to take a lesson from us. Though it's advertised that he's never taken a lesson, that's true, not on physical lessons. But he did come take a couple mental lessons. We had a session of 5 sessions that you go through. And out of those 5 sessions, he took the first 2, maybe even 3. And we talked on it between Mo and myself. And he identified, he says, all that stuff that you're doing is very good. It's very basic. Everybody else needs it. He says, but, and as we talked, we knew he knew it. Does the next 2 sessions or 3 improve any better? Do they say any more? Because he's willing to take the lessons. But I said, no, it's all on that general course. It gets a little bit more advanced, but it's basically, you have got it all. So he never finished the course because he was actually far beyond the course with that knowledge. Visualization was the thing. What my problem was, this is back in the 1990s through to 93, we gave visualization lessons to the golfers. They would take mechanical lessons and we would offer the visual lessons. Most golf PGA pros or other in the area not only took our course and identified how it improves because we have testimonies, but they sent us students. And what we found is the same thing later on, about a year after into it, that a lot of the students, we had some students come back and say, can I take the lesson again? And that question is why? If you've already got it and you've learned it, why take it again? And the usually come back is that they lost their swing. Now, how do you lose a swing? If you've got it on education, how do you lose it? But they did. And they were not complaining. They just wanted the lesson again. We would give them the lesson again for free. They already paid for it once. We didn't figure we'd give them anything new, same lessons. Lessons are on soundtracks. And they would go out and they would find their swing again. This caused that if we're going to be honest and true, and we're going to sell this course to people, and then they're going to lose the swing again, there's something is missing. And I've been on a quest. I figured I would close down for a year or two, or more if it needed it, that we would find what is causing this loss of swing and a few other things. We did that, closed that down in 1993, and I'm still working on it. We're about ready to come out to market now. We feel we found the solution. And we found some of the answers so that you can get, so you don't lose your swing. You progress on it. One of the things that is missing on the mechanical game or the mental game is true data. Data from mental, data from mechanical. And without data, learning don't take place. You must take and have data. You've got to have feedback. These are ingredients we know that justify to say you have learned something. If you've learned it, you won't lose it. Trust me. If you learned it, you won't lose it. If you're losing it, there's an ingredient that you did not learn. You need to make mistakes. Often when we talk with golfers, I want to come in and learn how not to make a mistake. Don't dare learn now not to make a mistake. It is mistakes that is the teacher. If you're not making mistakes, you're doing it okay. It's to learn. When you're learning, you learn through making mistakes. There's a number of ingredients that we put together to identify to measure your learning progress. So once we put it into hard numbers, then we can see when things start to change. And if you're starting to go downhill, we want to know why. Now, some players out there are definitely coming into an age bracket where then they're into the 30s and 40s. They're hitting that ball real hard. And you start getting up to 50 and 60s, the muscles and stuff are not quite the same. So we correlate. You got age and you got that distance result. We start matching these up and we say, well, what is predictable that is to be expected of you? And you could be hitting up 60, 70, 80 years old. But we know that you could even be on the high side for how people are hitting the ball at that age. It may not be what you did when you were 20 or 30, but for that age, you may be doing very, very good or above average in that age group. So these are the things that EO Golf, it's an education, and what it is, the difference between education and instruction is if you go to a player who knows how to play, if he will tell you, show you, or demo to you, that is instruction. A PGA, who is very good, that's probably the highly recommended ethics, but the thing of it is, the game is their tell, show, and demo. It has its place, it has its need, you need to do it, but instruction is tell, show, and demo. We do not do instructions. What heavy part of education is, if we can go back even to the caveman or back to before books were written, or definitely before TV, radio, or anything else, is that it was stories. And stories can be communicated by graphics, you doing signs, or telling the story. And that's the oldest form of entertainment there is. It is the oldest form of education, and that is what true education. So we will dwell heavily in stories. And the stories that we will tell, I like to start a story whenever we start to anybody, is to relate it like to life. Golf and life. Life we show is there's a line to it. We got a start and we got an ending. I'm somewhere in between, obviously. And I'm alert enough to know that I have a lot more yesterdays to look at than I do tomorrows. And I've got to, if this is that the amount of tomorrows is shrinking down, I better get out and tell this story now. Otherwise, it's going to go with me to wherever I go. That's on the other side.